And welcome to Tavern Talk. We are a full spoiler live talk show based on the epic fantasy series Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. My name is Ryan, and joining me as always is my brother Dan.
You betcha!
Jansen the Gleeman, and our new bi-weekly co-host, Dad Sway Sadai.
Let's go.
Welcome, guys. We do have a special guest, but before we bring that person in, I just want to give our thoughts, T's and P's to all those who suffered from the LA fires, Southern California fires that are still raging on as we speak. It's grim times. And so if you are watching and you are in fire danger, please stop watching and leave your house.
Right. This is horrible. There's been over 10,000 structures burned to the ground. Most of those family dwellings. I was talking to my wife yesterday and saying, when a fire's coming, do you get your Christmas ornaments? Who thinks about that stuff? And yet every Christmas ornament means something. You know, there's so much loss when a house burns down, and we have so many of these situations. It's just very, very sad.
I couldn't have put it better, man.
All right. But we have a great show for you tonight. We are going to be dissecting the last battle. We're going to be talking about tactics, main beats, main events, heroes, and also hopefully by the end we'll answer the question: is this a last battle or the last battle? But before we begin, let's bring in our special guest. Today we have DT joining us. Pick it up. Up.
DT, in the place to be. He's the MC every second rapper wants to be, you see.
I do see.
Plays bass like Glee.
He's born in Corpus Christi.
In Canada, but not BC.
Very true. Very true. How's it going, guys?
Hello, DT, the creator and Svengali of the What Trivia and Games server in Discord.
Oh, yep. That happened. Yep.
The creator of Secret Societies.
Sometimes. Yep.
Lover of animals. A biter of all laws, both foreign and domestic.
Truer words have not been said. Absolutely.
DT's a crime fighter, I bet. DT?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like to think so anyway. Not that I actually do any fighting. I, like you, run from fights.
Yeah, I run from fights. Welcome, my friend.
Thanks for having me, guys. I want to echo those sentiments about the fires. It's absolutely crazy. The footage that we're seeing is devastating. I can't believe what's happening and how close to home it is for people. So...
You know, living in California, we used to have certain thoughts, certain truths. And one was that a wildfire would not jump Sunset Boulevard or would not jump Pacific Coast Highway. You would not have fire on the beach. It is the common thought. Guess what, guys? Truths change. Truthiness.
Yeah. I mean, they call it... Yeah. If you don't know, these winds are being buffeted by what's called the Santa Ana winds. I don't know why Santa Ana has to take the brunt of that, but they are the Santa Anas. They're the devil's winds.
Devil's winds, yes.
And
they are hot winds. Hot winds that come offshore. So most of the winds that we have are onshore. They're nice, cool winds. This Santa Ana or devil's wind condition is a hot wind from the desert, from Palm Springs, and past the mountains. It blows the wrong way, and it always causes havoc. Whether there's fires or not, these winds are a natural phenomenon like earthquakes. You just kind of deal with them when they happen, you know?
It's usually bad when the wind comes from the opposite direction, anywhere you are. It's generally just is not a good thing. But this is particularly devastating.
This has been really
snow.
really humbling too, because like I think prior to this, I've had, I don't want to say arrogant, but like when you think of rich people and people in Hollywood and stuff like that, you're just kind of like, "Bleh." And watching some of the videos of how we were discussing earlier, how like each thing that they have, although maybe they have more than us, surely, is something special and beautiful to
For
them.
sure.
And
Absolutely.
it's gone. It's just absolutely devastatingly gone. So I think it unlocked a part of my heart that I didn't realize I was being stingy with, to give a little bit more compassion, maybe.
Yeah, Brother Dan's hero,
Well said.
Eugene Levy, he lost his home.
Yes, he did.
He was the honorary mayor of Pacific Palisades.
yes.
He's also Canadian.
His daughter was a
That's why
friend
he's
of mine.
honorary.
To work with.
Mhm.
Wait, say it again, Jason?
I used to work with his daughter. She's awesome. And yeah, I knew exactly where they lived. A friend of mine who lived 2 doors down from them also lost their home.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's just the amount of devastation that occurred. That video you sent us, Jackson. I'm sorry, Jansen, where there was a Starbucks. There's a Jack in the Box. There's it looks like a Foot Locker. I mean, there's just like these built like things that you don't picture when you think of a wildfire. You think of like a weird subdivision of rich people up in the hills. You don't think of an entire city. You don't think of a high school. You don't think of like entire communities being wiped out like it was. So yeah,
you think, you think forests. You think it happens in the forest, and kind of when it gets to the city, they stop it by then. Maybe some random houses that are lucky enough to be in the nature, but not like in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
You don't picture it ripping right through there. It's absolutely insane. The scenes from it are literally a hellscape.
Like,
It's just-
yeah, exactly. I mean, like,
Yeah,
hell hitting earth. Man. Nuts.
someone does
last
need,
battle
All
type
of
shit.
wins, yes.
someone does need to turn the bowl of the winds here. We have surprise Eugene Levy. And his eyebrows actually are too dense. There were they did smolder a tiny bit, but they were just put out by the density.
All right, speaking of dance, after 14 books, we are how many total pages is the last battle? Like 400?
Dozens.
Dozens of many pages. We are treated to the last battle. Brandon
It's like
Sanderson.
230 or something like that, I think.
The crescendo of the entire series.
The
Yeah,
apex.
the longest chapter I've ever read in my life.
Right.
Just-
And we could, in theory, say that the entire Memory of Light is the last battle.
Yeah, because it starts. It's already started
Mhm.
prior to the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's already started prior to the book. But it took a while for the culmination of the whole thing to happen. I thought this was one of the coolest battles you could ever read because so many different things and so many different quote unquote battles were going on at the same time.
I was going to ask that we've had 14 books building to Tarmogoyf. This is what we've heard in the first few chapters of the first book about Tarmogoyf. What were you guys' opinions when you read it? Were you overwhelmed? Were you whelmed? Were you underwhelmed? What were you?
We're
That's
on the
right.
whelmed scale.
Whelmed, yeah, the whelmed
Exactly.
scale.
Super whelmed.
Super whelmed.
Yeah, I was excited. I love the progression, like especially with Matt and Piran,
Mhm.
the two people that they became. It was. I thought that was really really cool. Like, you know, the one guy who said he never wanted anything to do with the last battle ended up being the marshal general of the entire campaign.
Mm.
And I thought that Matt has always been my favorite character. So I loved his part of it, but I also loved Piran's part. Piran became his true self, like the same guy he was from the very beginning. Rand's like right hand, like solid Piran. I love the progression. I love the fight. I love the little battles. I think Egwene was amazing in the last battle.
What were your thoughts when you read? I'm sorry, DT. What were your thoughts when you read it?
I remember getting the book and being pretty excited and waiting like a day or two to start it, and then I remember reading it and finding it really like a lot denser than I thought it would be, because I've never been a huge fan of the actual like in-depth battle scenes. Like it wasn't like what got me going anyway. The actual like movement of troops and the detail of that, which Jordan likes to do extremely detailed. So I found obviously the whole book is a lot of battle scenes, battle, and I was like, well, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. It's the last battle, but
Yeah.
I remember that kind of being like, okay, it was a little more dense than I thought, and I was a little overwhelmed by that, and I did have to go back and read it again to kind of get a sense of what actually happened at the end of it, because there's so many moving parts. And even now, every time I turn it on, I generally listen to audiobook now, and I start into it, I'm like, this time I'm going to take notes. I'm going to actually remember what happens when, and I never ever do. I got the retention of a gnat. So, but it is overwhelming, I think is undoubted.
Jansen, am I wrong to think that it's written kind of almost like a Marvel script where it jumps, it's like, meanwhile, boom, here's Androl. Oh.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, here's Daniel.
Jansen went through a gateway.
What I think, what I do think? I think that it was written that way for, the suspense of it. Like it was definitely, because, if you look at the way they should have lost.
Yeah.
They should have lost.
Yeah, they were the underdog.
Yeah, they were. But they weren't just the underdog. Like, they were like so under that they were already buried.
Mhm.
They shouldn't have won. And with the exception of we had so many stupid people on our side. At least the light did. There were so many mistakes were made. Like egos got in the way. Like Galen Trakand. So many different things that we did to stick ourselves in the foot and still won. Like it was written, for us to miraculously still win, or for the light to miraculously still win.
Hey, Jansen, real quick, Jansen, could you somehow get closer to the microphone? You're pretty quiet.
Sure.
Oh my God!
And look at you, look better. All right.
Oh, I look horrible, man.
All right, so Dad Swain, before this chapter, so let me preface this. When I got to this chapter, I couldn't read it right off the bat. I was like, oh no, I got chills. I was like, I'm not ready, and I had to wait. I waited probably like maybe 2 weeks or something. I had to have like the right environment, and no one had to be home. I had to Yeah, it was like I had to have things perfect because I'm like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. And I got emotional like during the whole thing. Like it was a crazy experience for me because I had so many expectations that were being fulfilled. And then I had some major disappointments that I guess we'll talk about, Matt and Pat and Fane, in a minute. But the entire thing was as epic as I had hoped it would be.
So
go ahead.
Quick question. I want to know, what was your most emotional moment?
Oh, I would say right off the bat when I saw that there was a preface by loyal son of Arendt, son of whatever, Mary.
Van Halen.
Son of Virgin Mary. Yeah, Ben.
Yes.
What
That's
about
a
you,
twist.
GT? What was your most emotional moment?
That's tough. I'm not sure I could even. Actually, honestly, it still is. I think it says the last battle begins when the golden crane is raised, and that still gets me every time when Land finally gives in and raises the golden crane and the city cheers, and like that's still like even now I'm chilled. Like that.
Yeah.
I know it's not in the last book. I think it's in the book before. Is it not?
It is.
But it is still probably the one that gets me the most time every time.
Do you want to know what mine was? Weirdly,
Yeah, please.
Gawain dying.
The most emotion that I felt, like I felt seriously, and I felt intense sadness at this moment, was when I thought Telmanus was dying.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want Telmanus to die. I literally thought he did, and I was like, that hit me hard. I was like, no. I was like, no way, they killed him. I was, and then of course he's. Oh, sorry, red alert spoiler, guys.
Oh yeah.
We didn't tell anybody that. This is a red alert spoiler. We're gonna be, if you haven't finished the book, turn off now. If you don't,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
our thumbnail was the chapter icon and page
true.
in the last battle. We're talking about it, guys.
But yeah, no. When Telmanus fell and the ground shook, I was like, damn. That was
Mhm.
my most emotional moment. I mean, I love not that I didn't like the rest. That was it.
What about you, Desmond?
Oh gosh. Most emotional moment was probably Egwene.
Mhm.
And I wasn't even like a hardcore Egwene stan. I was just kind of like, she's cool, like I like her story arc, but I loved Perrin, and I was like hot for Galad, and I was just kind of like, these are my characters that I'm trying to. And I mean, I love the Forsaken, of course, and so some of my heroes were not quite so good. But yeah, but when Egwene's scene came up, I was just like, oh my god, there's these emotions now that I'm feeling towards this character. I think the way that it was written, I think suddenly I realized the kind of the culmination of who Egwene was and what she was about, and it really like apexed into that moment. And then interesting, like conversely, he wrote these really like beautiful little gems, like when she created the weave to counter Balefire. It really almost was sort of like she's like, oh, I wonder if, and she's like, and then I remember the Aes Sedai was kind of like, what'd you just do? And she's like, no, I don't know. And then they just moved on, and it was kind of like, that was huge. But she's like, eh. So there were these up and down moments where I was kind of like, wait, what did she do? Like, describe more. And then there were other moments that I thought I really was not going to respond to, that I was choked up about, for sure.
Lightblind and Fool here says Land's charge when the channelers showed up, or Tam making a path for Land to Dalmadra, both got me.
Oh, that was a great scene. That was a
Mhm.
great scene.
Yeah,
Everything
Chad,
with
let us.
Tam.
Know. I want to hear from Chad. What was your guys' most intense emotional scene?
So I had misanswered. Ryan, you go ahead and answer. You didn't answer yet.
Oh, for me, it's simple. It's when Bella dies.
This is the funeral dirge, Bella. She's going down 6 feet.
No, Dan, she's going up the stairway to heaven.
Okay.
I
Now,
was
were you-
this
were you-
close to saying that same thing?
Were you happy to find when reading the companion that Bella did not, in fact, die?
No,
I was not.
no, I did not like that retconning.
Retconning is bad.
Did they
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah.
Well, Harriet did. She didn't like that Bella was killed in the book, so she was like, "Wow."
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the
she-
companion says, contrary to belief, Bella actually survived the last battle and is living on a farm,
Yeah.
having lots of babies
I did not know that.
with a.
Yeah.
Wow.
Guys,
like,
it's
I'm
so
not
hard
dead
for me.
yet.
Every
Yeah.
time you guys say Bella, I'm like, I have to hit a video, and I'm trying not to. No, my most okay. So I bawled the entire time that when Rand was like going through his reasoning.
Mm.
He's like, I did it for this person, I did it for this person, I did it for this person. That was too much for me. That and Egwene dying were really hit me.
So let me piggyback on that, Ryan, with the Egwene dying, and I meant to with Cad Swain as well. Or I'm sorry, Dad Swain. With well, it may happen. It may happen. I'm not gonna. Sorry. Is that so? We have this parallel between the Queen of Manetheren losing her warder / husband, and defeating all the dark, like this massive sacrifice that she probably wouldn't have done if her husband had not fallen. was Gawain written this way in order for Egwene to? Did Gawain have a choice? I mean, we all say Gawain made a bad choice. Up until now, Gawain was rad. It seems weird that he would put these rings on to a certain degree when he knows it means death.
Well, no, he needed to do that to save her from the Bow the Will. Remember?
Yeah.
Right.
So
But
he had already made his choice to die.
it wasn't the last possible option for him, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
He was like, "This would be rad, and let's just finish this."
and
Yeah,
we
did he-
also don't know if that could have been healed. It was never explored whether or not something like that could be healed.
Very good
You know?
point.
You think he
You
did
know,
that
say-
for glory though?
yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be the guy who kills Bow the Will.
Well, let's talk about Gawain. Gawain was given a sword in his crib. He's like, "This is what you do, bro. You sword. You sword.
and you
Yeah.
form some swords.
Yeah,
You
but
sword things."
the reason why I didn't like Gowan was because the way he was written, he came to terms with being a warder, right? When he was in Camelin with his sister, Elaine, talked to him and said, was it jealousy about Rand? Was it this? Was it that? And he made a choice then. He said, you know what? A warder protects his Aes Sedai. A warder does this. A warder does that. And then he
Mhm.
became that warder only
Mhm.
to do exactly what a warder would not do. Like he put Egwene, if not the world, at immense danger by going and trying to kill somebody he knew he couldn't kill.
Yeah.
Was this in character for Gawain, rather?
Well, Brother Dan, we actually just read this in the chapters I think we're going to cover next week. Egwene is saying specifically that she didn't like how like he's not risk averse. He just does. Ooh, 16 months.
Synod. All right,
16
so drug check. I'm probably a 3. I could touch my nose. I could do the alphabet from B to Z. I can't do A, but
Yeah, ever since Fonzie died.
Fonzie died. And the second time he tried to jump over sharks, he missed.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, I think like Sanderson started ramping that up a little bit early on to kind of prepare us for that like big oops. But
Yeah. What I mean, were you guys, Dad Swain and DT, were you guys, was this par for the course what Gawain did? Was it like, oh, this is abnormally shitty? Or did you just think it was a doofus?
No, I thought it was par for the course. I expected him to do something that was unlikable and disappointing, and he came through. So, yep.
Yeah, he just kind of. There were just these moments where it was kind of like everyone, including Suldam and Egyanin and these other people are like, "Don't put those fucking rings on. You're going to die." And he's like, "La la 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 la." And so
Yeah.
I thought, what a stupid bitch. And so I just like I understand like the advantage that it gave him, and I do think in some ways that Gawain was an excellent swordsman, but he had Galad there, who was a superior swordsman, and then he has all these other people around him. He has Elaine, who's a massively powerful Aes Sedai, and she's going to be queen. He has these people around him who are outshining him. And I think there was a sort of ego or something that said, if I have an advantage over all this, if I put this ring on. And I think it clouded, in a way where he was like, I too can make my mark on whatever. And I really think if he had, shut the fuck up and stepped back and said, okay, this is going to affect Egwene on a massive level at a moment where she cannot afford to have, her brain clouded like that. Maybe he would have come to a better decision. But even when he was talking to Gareth Bryn, it was like a struggle for Gareth to be like, would you please get your head out of your ass? And
It was. Yeah, that's true.
like he was just extremely like, so I think like DT said, par for the course, He didn't do anything that surprised me necessarily, but I was immensely like,
But did he do anything that Lan wouldn't or didn't do himself besides the rings? So the rings. So first of all, the rings are badass. They turned him into a Marvel superpower. They were like Gauntlet. He was getting Infinity Stones with that. He became like Spider-Man. He could do shit suddenly. Being around magical people and not being magical but being super skilled, he was like, oh, I'm already super awesome. Let me just fucking put on some rings, end this bitch, give it to my wife as a death gift, and I'm good. With Lan goes in there and he wins, but if Lan had died, we wouldn't say, oh, Lan was so dumb, what a fucking dummy. We would have thought, oh, Lan was rad and died rad, and Gawain were like, fuck you, Gawain. I don't like it.
but Lan, okay, they're in a war. They're in the last battle. So
Right.
everyone is going in there expecting to either die
Fucking Sinan.
or by some wild miracle, 3 of us are going to survive. Let's go. And so I think Lan's motivation was not the same as Gawain's. I think Lan Lan knew who he was. He knew that he was there to fight the shadow. That's what he's been doing ever since he was born. And so I think when Lan went in to fight, Bayo the Wild, it wasn't necessarily ego. It was sort of like, I might be the only one who can do this.
Yeah, I think for him it's duty. It always
Yeah.
comes down to duty for Lan, but for Gawain, there's he was so
He was given a sword as a baby. He was given
Yeah.
duty as a baby. He had a
Yeah, but that
the
wasn't
only
the
duty
duty
he
he
had
was
was
given.
poop and a
He
sword.
was given the duty to protect Elaine. That had nothing to do with that duty.
Yeah,
He was
He'd
even
already
near Elaine.
abandoned that duty.
Still-
He's on-
but
and
still,
I think
this
that's part of what
is-
made him
abandoned
feel
that
lost is that he never did get to fulfill that duty he was given as a baby, and I think he was always lost after that.
Mhm.
Ooh,
And it
good
even
point.
says in the companion that Tarangal focused a lot more on Galad than he did on Gawain. So I think
Well,
that even like his, he did have Gareth there to teach him, but he also was missing, a lot of the other things that might have made him a little bit more solid, a little bit more complete, to avoid some of those useful, downfalls.
Yeah, they only. It's funny you mentioned that. I think that was one of Gawain's POVs. That's the only quote we get from Tarangal Demodred,
hmm
and I believe the quote was, "Gawain, there are 2 people you should never trust. One is beautiful women, the other are eyes to die. And the light help you, son, if you ever have to deal with someone who is both." I think that's the only quote we get from Tarangal.
Yeah, charming guy.
Yeah.
winner.
Dead on though, dead on.
So I would love to go back to your original question. So the parallels between the Manetheren Queen, I forget, and that, and then Egwene and Gawain, is that a coincidence?
Eladria?
I don't think so. You know why? Because if you're saying that had to happen for her to be in some kind of like crazy, like, psychosis for her to do it, I think Egwene was one of the strongest people in the entire series. I think even with Gawain there and alive and well, she would have still sacrificed herself in that situation because she had the heart of an Aiel. And when she created the Flame of Tarvalon, she did it she healed the earth. She healed reality itself by all the damage that they were using Balefire with. So I think she would have done it anyway.
Okay. But do you think that these might be reincarnated souls of those people?
Sure.
Is Egwene that woman who can't remember her name?
Eldrine.
Eldrine?
Yeah.
Is it possible that Egwene is Eldrine and Gawain is just sucked up in a pattern level event, as Glenn, the geeky hippie, called it?
Would Egwene have done what she did if Gawain had lived?
I think she would have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that's
too, it's kind of natural to think. I think of it this way. Like, I think we think that if Eldrine was respun out as Egwene, that she would do the same things. But when you look at Birgitta, she's spun out over and over and over and over and over, and she does many, many, many different lives in different things. And she's always herself in a sense.
Good point.
The essence of herself is always there. She's governed by the things that make her Birgitta, but that doesn't necessarily mean she's always going to, shoot the silver arrow or do these things that she does or whatever. So I do think that there's some parallels between, Elaine and Ileana, Egwene and Eldrine, and you can make these parallels, but I don't know that necessarily translates to they are the reincarnated versions of those things.
Okay. What do you think, DT?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that just because you're the same, or Birgitta is a perfect example of it, that they're not destined to have the exact same life, so they're going to do different things.
Could it be argued that Birgitta is not as important? And well, two things. One, she's a continuous thread, and we're talking about like reincarnation and but major figures, right? Like, does that make sense? Like pattern, like big, is the pattern demanding this in a way?
When you say, is she not important? I think one thing that's interesting about the last battle, like Jansen said, how earlier, I'm not sure if it was before or when we got on here or after, but how close they were, or that they should have lost. They were a major underdog. I think every single person is incredibly important to them winning. Like, all the pieces of the puzzle had to be there. And if one wasn't, they fail. So I think, she was absolutely as important as any other piece in that regard. I mean, she comes back. Her dying at the moment she died was pretty important too, because then she comes back and kills Mellor at the exact moment that she needs to do so. There's just so many pieces. It's hard to say if one person's more important than another, because I think and some of the smallest pieces weren't there. They still fail.
Yeah. How long is this battle?
I would say about 2 months. Considering how long it would take to march from the field of Marilor all the way to the Gap.
Oh, you mean this field of Marilor?
Ryan, well done.
Considering that, and they did that, and I would say probably about 2 months, anywhere from a month to 2 months.
Okay. Do you guys agree? You think it was about a month or two?
Are we talking about the entire last battle?
Yeah.
Yes.
So on the wiki page, it says that it was fought for at least 2 years, but I don't know.
Whoa!
What?
What? Are you sure that wasn't the last battle?
No, it says blah 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 blah. The Trolloc army and Tyrants. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, was this?
And Matt didn't sleep once.
Last battles. This would mean the last battle was fought for at least 2 years. However, that engagement seems too detached from the other assaults by the Shadow to be part of the last battle. Okay, so they're tagging in the whole thing where Rand was fighting those massive hordes of Trollocs when he made the flowers of fire.
Oh, so here it says Glenn says he thinks it's only based on a couple days on the chapter itself.
I think what you were saying earlier, Jansen, is that time fluctuated too, so it's hard to pinpoint.
Yeah. Time was all funky,
timey-wimey. Some of the marches alone. I mean, now, granted, some of these things could have all been happening at the simultaneously, but the march from Caemlyn to Carrion.
Yeah, some of the towers that were being held in Saldea talked about being days or weeks long just themselves. I remember, so it couldn't have been just a couple of days. I agree that it had to have been a couple months total,
at least.
Like, and it depends what you're calling the start and the end. You mean just the chapter? Or?
Does Matt step away from the battlefield at all?
Well, I think they jumped ahead, and I think, of course, everybody. I mean, that being said, nobody really got sleep except for Rand, and he didn't even get any sleep.
Yeah.
Well, that's all Perrin did.
Yeah, well, yeah. Perrin slept. Well, yeah, and the Dreamwalker.
He was trying to get that dream spike, get the dream warrior.
But
Hey,
remember
hey.
though, at the end, Perrin was in the dream world in the flesh.
Yeah.
Do you think when Perrin's in the dream world, he's just like whimpering like a puppy?
He's like scratching.
Perrin can take
His feet
anybody
run.
to the dream world now.
That's a good one, right?
Like,
Go ahead,
I
Jansen.
never thought about that. Perrin's like a living, breathing Terangriel. He can take anybody to the dream world he wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved the
Crazy.
skills he got through the last battle.
Yeah,
Yeah, his skills were pretty. I mean, Perrin's
Yeah,
one of the most powerful people in the world.
Yeah,
Oh,
he leveled
absolutely.
up fast in that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just circle back around to the Heroes of the Horn. They arrive. Remind me again, like I haven't read the last battle in quite a bit, but they talked to Tuon, correct? Like lose
Matt-
Theron.
Matt asks Hawkwing to go say hi to Tuon, but we don't see that happen.
Fulfilling
know.
his third gift.
Yeah.
Do we think it does happen? And what do you think that interaction was like?
Oh yeah, it happens. I think.
Well, once that happens, he fulfills like that. I don't remember what chapter it was, but he gave her 3 gifts.
Mhm.
You know, and that was the third gift. And you know, Darbinda was the second gift. Akkoin was the first of the major 3 gifts that he gave to her. And you know, once he introduced her to Min, Tuon basically said, "You're forgiven for any bad thing you've ever done, and you have with interest." Having that stint, the actual creator of their entire empire, to talk to her would have probably given him, you know, free status forever.
I like to think that Hawkwing like looked at her and said, "Cool fingernails," and she went, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I like my fingernails."
No, I think he went in. He's like he said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I imagine he just basically pulled her aside and said, "Yeah, all women channelers are evil. Keep going."
He's like, "You
Keep
know,
going,
you're
keep
doing the
going.
Lord's work."
Yeah.
Hey there, great,
Atta
great,
girl.
great, 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 great,
No.
great,
I
great,
mean,
great.
Can you imagine how powerful that scene would be if they wrote it in and he walked into the Sanchin army and said, "I am Arthur Pendrag"? They would have all dropped, including Tuon.
Yeah.
They would have all dropped to their knees.
He's all,
Yep.
leash them all, and just we this. All right, so let's talk about the Sharan.
Mm-hmm.
The Sharan. We had heard about this weird country that you could trade stuff. They had slaves. We heard little things about it, but no one that we knew went there at the time before. I guess did Rand go there actually?
Nope.
Okay. To me, they popped out of nowhere. I was like, "Oh shit, the Sharan! Oh, that's right."
Well, there is one
Chekhov's
person who knew more
country.
about the city, and
Yeah.
missing for a long time, but that's Jane Farstrider.
Mhm.
He
Mm,
knew a lot about them.
mhm.
But yeah, I think the Sharans were warped.
The Sharan. So what? It's interesting that Rand had tried to build a coalition of humanity, right? He's like, "Hey, listen, we may have our differences with borders and all this weird stuff, but we all have to team up to fight the supernatural bad guys. So we all have to be good guys, and that has to be the bad guy, without even counting Shara." Shara comes in, and Shara has like it's human bad guys, magic bad guys of all shapes and sizes that are humans, and with different monsters too, I guess too.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
weren't they
it
just
got
pretty
weird.
much all dupes.
Wait, say it again.
Weren't they pretty much all dupes? At least
Yeah,
they-
like
Yeah, because like
Ooh.
when the I also thought I was like I wish they would have been introduced earlier and fleshed out a little bit.
yeah,
but
me
you
too.
You get little pieces like Grendel talks a little bit about the structure. and you're like, huh? And then there's this one part that I remember where it was kind of like, I think maybe it was the Shanshan, and they said something like, when they collared a Sharon channeler, she immediately became, docile. And it was just kind of like, I just don't really, like, it all sounds fascinating, but it just happened like at the very end, so
Yeah.
it was hard to
Right.
invest.
Right. It came out of nowhere to me. We had nothing about this, and suddenly they were a major antagonist,
hmm
led by one of the most powerful Forsaken.
Well, it kind of made sense. We always had this mystery of, and most of the Forsaken had the same mystery. What the fuck is Damodred up to?
Yeah.
What is he doing? And then you're like, that's what he was doing, enslaving a nation. Right.
So this does like bring up the question though: does Shara like round out all the nations of Randland? Were they all involved in this last battle, or was there like an Australia that was just surfing the reef and
Nope.
eating
Land of
shrimp
Madmen
on the
never came out.
bobby?
Yeah, the land of madmen never.
God.
oh! No offense, Desmond.
Wow.
Wow.
You know,
yeah. No,
yeah.
Wow's right.
I just want to correct this. We don't actually say shrimp on the barbie.
No, they're prawns.
Say
I know.
prawns, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Just want to clarify. If we're putting Australia into Randland, at least let us eat prawns.
You know what? I watch
America.
Bondi Rescue. I bet you those lifeguards, they say shrimp on the Barbie. Those fucking dudes. They totally do.
Like tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's.
I played on Bondi. I never heard shrimp on the barbie.
Well, they all talk like they're asking questions. When there's a guy on the beach who's
Yeah, that's,
carrying a pie.
That's an Aussie thing. There's mine's rounded out because I've been
It's
in
a
America
bot.
for a long time. But it did, when people talk about the way that Australians talk, a lot of times they do say that we sound like we're constantly asking questions. And so I know when I first got here, that was
Right.
true. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to the grocery store, and people are like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like the Australian like Valley Girl or the Australian like Surfer Boy.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to I'm gonna go surf, and then when I'm done, I'm gonna dry off.
Yeah. So the last battle,
Smooth pivot.
I'm doing good, Ryan. I'm doing good here.
You're doing great. So,
where's my ally? Where's Waterholic? Aussie.
We do not shrimp.
There we go.
I would love to get in. So there's two distinct things happening in this last battle. One is the actual battle, tons of people dying. It's horrifying. And then there is Rand and the Dark One. And they basically like chat it up, right? And they have this deeply philosophical discussion. And I'd love to get into that. Must be, yeah. Boom, boom.
Well, Rand tries to enforce his will and what he thinks is the best thing by saying that he wants to kill the Dark One.
Yeah.
And, during this time, the Dark One shows him that that is a foolish move because if you kill him, you won't give people a choice. Choose him to not choose. And making them exactly what the Dark One wanted in the first place.
Well, would Rand have destroyed evil?
Well, I don't know if you can do that.
Right.
Because taking the free will out of everyone is pretty much an evil thing, right?
hmm
So if you kill all evil and evil doesn't exist, then people have no choice.
Well, that's not a. You know what? If I had to have humanity somewhat compulsed to do good things, I'm okay with that.
Possibly. I'm not saying it's
But,
wrong.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's a fix, but it's almost in a sort of subtle way the same thing that Shadow Logoth did. Is they tried to fight the shadow with a different type of evil, and it became something completely darker. In a
That's a
sense.
good point. Yeah, yeah.
I contend that Rand could not have destroyed the Dark One. Ryan disagrees with this. This is one of our big question disagreements. But I think that the way that the wheel has always, I've fought you thousands of times, and I will again thousands of times, Lucerne. I think that this probably happened a bunch of times, where this shit, where Rand decide or Lucerne or Onomatopoeia Johnson, whoever the dragon was there made this choice. I don't think everything about Rand was pre-programmed. He had to go here. There were prophecies for what he did. Why do we think that he has free choice now?
Well, he always had a choice.
Mhm.
And remember what Tam said. You might not have a choice about what you have to do, but you have a choice about why you do it. So he always had a choice.
Well, I mean, I kind of think you. I mean, no, I think that it is exactly what Tam says. You might not have a choice on what you do, but why? Like yeah. So I agree with Dan that this is like a predeterministic world, and that the Taveran are the most determined, and it's almost like levels of like seismic levels away from him as far as how much the pattern even gives a fuck about you. But there's at the moment when he pulls the Dark One out of the pattern, this is my theory, that was like the first real act of free will, like possibly throughout the entire history of Randland, all the turnings of the wheel, and he made a choice to keep that thing alive and keep the predeterministic world going. And that's where I stand. I know Dad Swain hasn't heard this.
No, but I think it's fascinating because I think that the soul of the Dragon Reborn is being circulated through the wheel over and over, time without end. And it is the same person coming around each time, being manifested in a different form or whatever. But so you have this sense of they are, let's say, inherently good. And so each time they're spun out, they are inherently good. But the Dark One is hoping, because of free choice, yes, maybe they're predetermined to get to the last battle, but the Dark One is hoping to circumvent their choices so that at some point, this battle's been going on ages, and the Dark One wants to break the wheel. It wants to, destroy. It wants to, cause chaos and stuff. So I think there's a point where the Dark One's like, at some point, even though every time the dragon is like, I choose you, good, then the Dark One is like, at some point, there's going to be a choice or a twist that I can manipulate and seize control of the Dragon Reborn and break this wheel. And so I think that's the constant struggle with the Dark One. So I don't know that you could destroy him.
Yeah, the question is if they've fought 1,000 times over 1,000 times, are we assuming that not one of those times the dragon killed the Dark One?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the assumption has to be A, killing the Dark One doesn't matter, it resets anyways. Or B, that it's impossible to kill the Dark One. Those are the only two conclusions I can see from that.
Yeah, it seems the best they can do is seal him outside the pattern.
Yeah.
But he has to exist in the same plane or dimension as the creator, or there would be no balance and there would be nothing. And this is all my theory, that killing the Dark One is the same thing as the Dark One winning, because the end result is the same. It ends in nothing, which they always say the pattern's broken, it ends in nothing. And also my theory is that the Dark One had never intended to win. He has no intention of winning.
Yeah.
Ever.
Okay, but if that's the case, then why did he convince Rand? Like Rand went in there to kill him, and it seemed like everything he did was to make sure that he didn't kill him.
Well, he doesn't want to be. Yeah, he wants. Because I think he just loves the chaos.
Yeah.
He just loves the chaos. He loves the game. He loves the manipulation. We see it constantly, and the Forsaken talk a lot about it. that he has likes and desires and joy and anger. Like he's clearly an emotional being. So he would never want the end result to be nothing.
Hmm.
Because that's what joy would there ever be in that. He wants the cycle to repeat again. He's patient. He lives outside of time. He doesn't mind if he gets sealed up for another 3,000, 10,000 years.
But do we see the Dark One as being a equal or peer to the Creator? Do we see him as being as powerful? I mean, Forsaken went and talked to him. It's like, it seems like it's a dude that is there. Like, you could talk. No one's going to meet in the Creator unless it's Bell. But no one is going to meet in the Creator. The Creator's throwing italicized capitals in Rand's head, but Rand can't go meet the Creator. He's not in like a place.
Maybe he
But it
could
seems
if
like
the
you can
creator
go.
decided to. Maybe
But could he? But could
He's
he?
maybe a light touch manager. He's just,
Well, let's say, could Rand ever meet the Creator? Do you think, Jansen and Dadswing?
Well, Avienda met Nakomi.
Yeah. I was like, the Creator has avatars, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Avienda
I
met
think-
Nakomi. And we know at least that while Rand was dying, or at least transferring to Moradin's body, somebody was looking over him.
Right, but so I always think that the Creator is like the Dark One seems like a demigod, and the Creator seems like a god.
I think it's different. Remember, Varian was saying that the Forsaken have their own motivations of squabbling and power, and I want to rule the world and whatever. And she couldn't quite figure out what the motivation of the Dark One was, because it just looked chaotic. She's like, I don't quite get it. I don't think he's interested in power. I don't think he's interested in these things in the same way that maybe humans would be. And I think as different as that is, I think the Creator has a different motivation, a different thing that nobody's, none of the Brown Eyes are kind of like, I wrote a book on the Creator. But he's got a way of doing something, and it is like DT was saying, it's always about balance in these books. So if the Dark One is in there, like, let's see what we can do to make it real spicy and fun and chaotic, and this is what I live for, then the Creator is the opposite of that, whatever that may be. So maybe he's kind of like, I've given you all life, bye, and and I'll I'll touch in here and there. I'll send you Nakomi. I'll send you.
And we assume that Nakomi is like a Shaidar Haran for light.
I believe that's what the big reveal kind of was in the last, what was that, Sanderson release or whatever. He was finally allowed to say who Nakomi was, and I think that reveal was that she is an avatar for the Creator, if I'm not mistaken.
But she didn't do that much.
Nope.
Some good
Shouldn't that, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Now, I have a question for you guys. This might be a little bit off. It does have something loosely to do with the last battle. The body that became Hesselin, was that old Sylvie?
Old Sylvie was a figment of, that was a creation from Lanfear's mind, though. I mean, it could have been based on a real person, I suppose.
Yeah,
I
thought that too. I thought Lanfear had just taken on a different face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that happened in Tel'aran'rhiod, right?
Yeah.
It did.
I think
they are described similarly.
Yeah,
though.
I think the Dark One just went to some Bergen trailer park and picked up the, some lady on the corner who was passed out drunk and was like, "Here,
The trailer park of the town.
call you Hesselon."
All right, Dan Lou's letting us know that Nakomi was revealed in Origins by Michael
Sorry,
Livingston.
that's what
That's
it was.
fine.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Dana.
Who says fact checking is not happening on the internet? We believe in it.
Yes, we do.
Come on, Zuck.
One of the major things that this last battle deals with that within the other books it doesn't seem to be acknowledged is the idea of traitors and someone on the outside in the inner circle. Matt picks up on this early and won't even tell Elaine shit about what he's making her own armies do because he's unsure about the people around him.
Yes.
Is that? I'm so sorry. Is that?
Yes.
Does that happen after they figure out that Hessalam is messing with everyone's mind, or was he immediately suspicious?
That was before.
Okay.
That was before. Yeah, he was like, I think they're getting some of my shit. So I can't really say. But that he didn't know who the rat was.
Yeah. And it was
yeah.
it was Mogideon.
Mm-hmm.
So just as far as recon, and I guess as far as the tactical adjustments and adaptations using gateways as recon, throwing it so you can see, just put it way up in the sky so you can look down and see what they're doing. That sort of stuff, the development as the battle goes on, to me, was wonderful. I really liked them learning and adapting their tactics, I guess.
Yeah, I loved it specifically. I mean, going back with Androl, the way they started using gateways differently, and not just that, the way they started using them for scouting differently. Like that's what you do when you get a new tool. You adapt it and make it better, and learn how to use it in new ways in war.
And figure it out, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it was great.
Funny thing is, it was Gareth Bryn who invented it.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
I really liked. I am much more of a when I read fantasy books and stuff. I love the parts about channeling and magic, and I just think those things, supernatural powers and stuff, are very fascinating to me. And then politics is fascinating to me. But I really like the way that Robert Jordan and Sanderson wrote, specifically Jordan wrote the battle sequence from his perspective of being in war. When I read, the cleansing of Saidin, I was gobsmacked. I was like, this is incredible. And then the last battle was that, times a bit. And it was just really fascinating to be engaged as someone who's much more like, where's the magic? With the regular soldiers and generals and people trying to figure out strategy. And it really captured, me in a different way. I thought it was so cool.
Not to beat a dead horse about this, but one of the major disappointments about the finale here was, for me, Matt. So Padan Fain had become a force of nature. He was no longer human. The Dark One was afraid of him. The Light was afraid of him. He was chaos personified. He came in like a weather pattern. And Matt just kind of
plays dead.
Hey.
Yeah.
Check ya. Pop, pop, pop.
Gives them an art. It gives them like a nice quip.
Gives him a super cool quip, and then that's it.
He was
go ahead.
He was at least that's how they wrote it.
That's what we were given.
Yeah, once you've been cured from an illness, you no longer had you, apparently.
What?
So is that your complaint then, that Padan Fain was just underused? Essentially,
it was so anticlimactic. It was like, this is a major rope that needs a knot.
Yeah,
it was. I thought it was lazy writing.
Yeah.
It was hard. You could have made the entire book about Padan Fain. Padan Fain had become OP, very overpowered, and what do you? I mean, he was a fog at the end with a face. More or less.
Yeah, he was a beast. I mean, he was the necromancer of the, of this tale. So I just think he was misused.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he was through the whole books, for the most part.
He reminded me of this, this character that shows up in books and movies where you want them to die. They're so annoying. They are frustrating you because they keep succeeding by accident or by whatever. And it generates this anxiety and this frustration in you. And I feel like that should have been Padan Fane. Like when I read him, I want to be like, oh, somebody kill him.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
didn't. I felt like I never quite got there. Where I was just like, oh, okay, yeah,
Remind me, how did we know that fog was Padan Fane? Like, who figured that out?
Matt knew
Matt, I think.
because he
How?
felt it because of his connection with the dagger.
Oh shit! He had that. Okay.
Yeah, Matt knew what it was, and yeah, because he was like, Fane's here. I remember he said it. He knew.
Mhm.
But you know, Fane also had like a connection with Mashadar as well.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. He was a force. He had his own
Right, he
force.
was Masha Shin.
Oh yeah.
So another, you could call this one a disappointment too. Tom just sitting on a rock throwing knives at people, and then hiding
Yep.
the body, and then
Trying to
sitting
write a
there.
song.
Wasn't he like whittling at the same? I mean, yeah, that was weird.
So what? But how could
Disappointment.
Padan Fane have been handled differently? Do you guys have any thoughts? Because this was literally a not a human. I guess the dagger had to be involved. I guess Matt had to be involved. Is this the best way it could have been done? Like in
No, I
retrospect?
I think that Padan Fane should have showed up at the exact same time, at the exact same place that Moradin showed up at, and they would have fought each other. I thought that would have been great.
That would have been sick. That would have been better.
You know, like
Yeah, like
they'd all-
why did it have to be Matt? Just
Yeah,
because
that
Matt had the medallion?
No, because the tie to the dagger, I guess.
It was always weird too, because Padan Fane was like singularly focused on destroying Rand, and then he got, killed off by Matt. So it was a little
Yeah.
bit of a left turn where it was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, and why wouldn't Padan Fane have felt quote unquote Matt?
he did.
Oh, you imagine if they if Rand did something similar like he did at Shadow Logoth with the taint, but he did it with Padan Fane with the Dark One,
Hmm.
and used Padan Fane as like a filter.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that would have been rad.
Would've been
Mhm.
cool.
That would actually be very cool.
That would have been rad.
I mean, I also thought that when Rand healed the source, I thought that once Shadow Logoth was gone, Fane was going to lose his power or die. I thought that was going to happen.
Hmm.
But,
Oh yeah.
I thought that was going to happen, but that didn't. Yeah, no, yeah, he was misused. It wasn't, he should have been in a big battle at the end. He was part of it.
And he missed it, and he mentions that he felt like he struggled with Matt of all the characters.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a fair job with Matt. Like
He got better as he went along. He
Yeah,
started
yeah.
rough.
after
Yeah, he did.
the last battle was awesome.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable, and it was everybody, because if you notice this, when they talk about Tarmangated, they talk about, the Dragon Reborn fighting, the Dark One. It never, ever, 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 ever says that he would be battling at anybody but the Dark One.
Hmm.
They never
Mm.
mentioned that the last battle itself was everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the whole, and it was written off beautifully with, I mean, it was so descriptive. Yeah, it was so descriptive that you saw Loyal and Kadir and Land,
Yeah.
Matt, all battling together against and even, I mean, not even just them, but also Banner General Kareed and the Death Watch guards, and all of them were together.
Right.
God,
Right.
I mean, it was so.
I think Sanderson did a really good job of compiling this battle together. And so let me ask you, DT, with a lot of Jordan's battle scenes, it turns to the fog of war, right? Time gets weird. They don't know if it's been 15 minutes or an hour. they don't know how many. They're just hacking. We don't get as much description from warriors in battle because they kind of just zone out, right? But with Sanderson, we get almost like script stuff. Like it's almost like like it was written for a screenwriter.
Definitely.
These jumps. Did you notice it? And if you noticed a difference between the writing, how do you think Robert Jordan would have done the last battle different? I guess.
I'm not sure I'm the one to answer that. Like, because again, the battle scenes they tend to blur for me. I tend to not stick. I had a hard time picking up the big differences between the two when it came to stuff like that. I really noticed how he wrote the characters a bit different, specifically Matt. But yeah, the battle scenes, like, I didn't mind it. I just was a little overwhelmed with it at first, and like, yeah, I don't know how it would have been done different. I'm certainly not a writer, so I'm really quite happy to just follow along and enjoy what I'm given. I definitely don't have better ideas than Robert Jordan or Brandon Sanderson, but yeah, so I'm not too sure. One thing I would have done differently is, I think when going back to disappointments, my not biggest, but my one disappointment I had was probably Demondred, because we had so much hype of what he was going to do, and it was cool when he brought the Sharans, but him in particular, for pretty much the whole last battle, was basically the old man yells at clouds meme.
Who wants a piece of me? You want some? You want some?
He's screaming at Red.
Oh,
Red,
fuck yeah!
He's such the best character to play. He's so tragic of a character.
Red was never there. It just bothered me. He was
on
wrong.
the mountain screaming.
Lose Theron!
Well,
And he had a
if you
big
think
Bring
about
it!
he was
Is that
basically he was basically Couladin.
yeah, in a way.
That's funny.
Good comparison.
Old man yells at clouds. It was just I saw him by the end of it. Like, is he ever going to stop yelling for Rand? He's not there. He's not there.
Yeah, it's saying about you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You didn't know.
because he's got Sakarnan, and so he's just bursting with the power. He's in a full circle of channelers, and he's just like, wow,
Yeah, that was it. That's the extent of his.
yeah.
That is one thing that Sanderson did that Jordan didn't really do, is give shit names. Like, was it Sarenkin?
Oh yeah.
I said
Sakarnan.
Sakarnan, but I'm sure.
Sakarin?
Well, no.
Like that. There's Malor.
Because didn't Robert Jordan give
Mahalia,
the
yeah.
White Towers the White Towers?
Oh, Vora.
Oh, the
Vora.
That was
Voice
just-
Sangreal?
But it was just because Vora had it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vora's Sangreal.
yeah, I get you right. Yeah,
It's
you're
just
right.
like, hey.
Less cool name.
All right,
Yeah,
all right,
I mean, like a Balefire wand that Egwin uses. If things had names, that shit should have been like had a total.
Yeah. All right,
Blitz.
I want to hear everyone's favorite unsung hero in the last battle.
Okay.
Oh, there's Quaindar
Oh, right.
Wendar?
Calendar.
and the Koan Call. So I
Right.
guess there are names for certain things. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with
Fire.
Dana. I was gonna say Fail is the unsung hero.
Oh, I thought we were still naming things. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all
I
fighting.
thought I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and explain why. Yeah.
Well, she did a pretty majorly important thing that nobody really knew about at the end. She wasn't in any battles, but she basically couriered the Horn of Valir to the right place at the right time against all odds through fucking hell with a kid and a caravan of people like Basil Gill. Like that wasn't easy, and she made it happen.
And remind me, was Oliver blowing it his idea?
No, he got stuck in a crevasse.
Yeah, he was
And
being
just
attacked.
finally like, I don't know what else to do. I'm gonna blow
And
this
he
thing.
blew it. He blew it.
Yeah.
It was his idea, though. He was the
He did.
controlled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He didn't know it was not. I don't think anybody really knew for sure if it was still tied to Matt or not. That was we knew it shouldn't be, but
We all thought. Well, I thought that it still was.
yeah.
I mean, they called him
Logically,
Hornblower. You know,
Yeah.
like I thought it was just prophesized that's who he was.
Yeah,
I think they hinted at it because Varian, I think, was telling Swan Sanche that if before they healed him, if we just let him die, then we can link the horn to whoever we want.
Yeah, the people who called him that didn't know he'd actually died.
Yeah.
As it happened with the severing with the Balefire incident is when he actually got severed from it.
Right.
So nobody really knew that ever happened except Rand.
And I don't know that
A
that was
couple other people,
general
Egwene.
knowledge.
Asmodean, but that didn't last long.
Yeah, Egwene knew too.
Did she?
She even mentions it. She says that Matt wouldn't be alive if Rand wouldn't have used it at this
Oh
point.
yeah.
She says it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favorite unsung hero, I'm gonna go with Gaul.
I love God.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one.
He
It's so
he
cute.
fought to the end and survived it actually in a place he should have died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That's
he
true.
had no experience at all in the world of dreams. And because of that, I also, this is something I've always said this, but at the end, I believe that Gaul should have had yellow eyes.
That
Oh
would be
man, man,
That would have been sick.
hell
Yeah.
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 He even calls them brothers at the
Yeah.
end. He said they
Yeah.
were brothers, and I think he should have had yellow eyes.
Sweet.
That would have been so awesome.
Be cool if the wolves could just gift him the power.
Yeah.
Well, the wolves find you, not the other way around.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's true, but there is something genetic about it, unfortunately. That would...
Whataholic says Huron is his unsung hero.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'll go with that.
Any thoughts?
What did he do?
Smell
Uh,
bad shit.
Oh, it's over there.
We're cinnamon. We're trying to sin. Cinnamon. Cinnamon.
Sylviana, I think, as sort of the holding up Egwene, making sure she was focused, trying to fulfill her role as the keeper of the chronicles in the middle of the last battle. I think that was kind of a cool. I always liked the way that Sylviana was introduced and kind of utilized
Mhm.
as an antithesis to what we thought the Red Sisters were sort of always going to be.
Uh,
Mhm.
What do we think Ulver's future holds?
Well, he has an estate.
He's ugly.
He is the horn sounder known throughout the world. He's
Ugly.
ugly, but
His
his adoptive father is the Prince of the Ravens.
It's rich.
He is got
Yeah.
a lot going for him.
Yeah.
is he going to Shanshan?
I believe that Tuon Fortuana would hold him have a high place for him, being Matt's charge.
I don't know
Probably.
that Ulver ever let go of avenging his parents.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe
'Cause
not.
I think he was still talking about that towards the end. So I don't know if his perspective will change or if he's still kind of I'm gonna go find these Aiel and do something about it.
He might still go. I mean, all of his stories probably not over. I'm sure that in his lifetime he'll go through the doorway.
Oh yeah,
He's not even shaving yet. There's no way and he won Snakes and Foxes.
It's-
Yeah.
I love the idea of him being Brigitte's lover of all time. I thought that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, according to the timeline, Guidal Kane was bumped out of Teleran Riyadh before Brigitte
he's
was,
already alive, so
Yeah.
he'd already
Yeah.
but not
He's already-
10 years ago.
Right. Time moves differently, but not.
Time moves differently. Yeah.
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 Unfortunately.
it sort of messes it up having
But
Morganian
also, you have to
walk her
remember.
out like that.
You have to remember. Every single time Brigitte comes back, Guidel doesn't always come back every single time.
Yeah.
She said almost every time.
It's true. Yeah.
Every
I think
time.
so.
Yeah, and that would have been weird if she was attracted to Ulmer.
Strange.
We got
Yeah.
two different versions of Huron here. One says Huron is Dolph Lundgren. One says Huron is Barney Rubble.
Barney
You got to go with Tom Marilyn also as an unsung hero in this tale.
Yeah, he just kind of held the fort. He held the rock. I mean, I guess he was unsung. He threw all his best knives.
He saved Matt's life at least 3 times.
Yeah, you gotta go with that. You could go with Avienda too. She was,
Oh
she
yeah.
did a lot.
Did you guys like the Hinderstrap callback? That
Yeah. I did.
Yeah, I did.
I thought,
thought
it
it
was. I thought it was used very coolly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
something that-
snappy. He didn't spend too much time on it. We got to the point, moved on.
Yeah,
yeah.
It gave closure because when the scene happened, it was kind of like, oh, that's weird, and then it didn't really have a. It was like, and it may be like this forever. Okay, moving
Well,
on.
I mean,
Yeah, and then later it was kind of like, closure.
and
Yeah.
Windows Tap wasn't in A Memory of Light. It was in another book, but those chapters were really good reading. Like the Tipsy
Were.
Gelding, they were really good reading. It was
Mhm.
entertaining to read that. It was almost like a horror story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
first time reader said, "Yeah, you know what? It just feels like a short story that Brandon Sanderson shoved in there," and we were like, "Zip."
He also said
Nope.
it's a bummer that Rand doesn't have someone there just training them for the last battle because they won't die.
Mm.
So
Yeah, he's
he was
like,
like,
you
they
can
could be
just
zombie
gateway them
warriors.
in. Yeah, he's like gateway them in every day. You have a whole army of people who will just wake
Oh,
up.
right.
Yep.
He called them berserkers.
There'd be no point in training them though. They lose all consciousness once the sun goes down. They
Have to
fight
relearn.
with
Right,
their
right.
teeth or
Right,
their
we got
hands
they're
or
for
whatever.
daylight fighting only.
Yeah,
I've already taught you this.
they're more effective as nighttime fighters for sure.
Oh yeah.
you would think they'd all be like super buff. Like
Yeah,
Well, they reset, so I guess
yeah.
they
Maybe that's what
lose.
happens.
It's like
they
this-
lose.
They don't.
okay.
They don't have
Yeah.
any wounds. They don't have any of the muscle gain either.
Oh, that sucks.
Wounds, no abs.
They got meat fists. They got like puffy ears like MMA fighters.
Right? Yeah, cauliflower ears. Yeah.
Yeah, the big old puffy ears.
I thought you said puppy ears, which is
Puffy.
Okay, yeah.
P. Diddy. You're right. Is that better? P. Diddy ears?
All right, Dan, what's your unsung hero?
My unsung hero is Gawain.
Ooh.
Gawain,
Okay.
if Gawain had won that fight, war over, bitches. He tried and he did not succeed, but his sacrifice was worth it. Yeah, he would. The war would have been over, bitches. If there would be no damage, I'd know. Everyone, Rand could have just done it. It would have been great. It was all great. Land had to come in and do it instead, but yeah, for me, it's Gawain. Unsung.
Yeah, no one's been singing his praises.
No,
I'm
not
aware.
one. Not one song.
If Rand bale fired the Dark One, would people who died during the last battle come back to life?
I
And
don't.
should he have? Just kidding. But yeah.
Just Balefire. You're out of the pattern. Pew.
No way. Wouldn't have worked.
Okay. My unsung hero.
What if he didn't Balefire him? Would the Dark One just be able to just regenerate like Call of Duty? Because he is the Lord of the Grave.
Yeah, like how would you kill the Dark One? You'd
Yeah.
imagine it'd have to
It'd
be
have to be
Balefire.
Balefire. Yeah. All right. Sorry, Ryan. Go on.
No, but I mean, he pulled him out of the pattern, which is something we could spend a whole show on what that is all about. He pulls him out of the pattern. What does that mean? How is that possible? What does that say about Rand that he could do that, right?
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah,
And if he just like snapped his neck, right? Maybe he doesn't have to Balefire him because he's out of the pattern. He's just like he's
Yeah.
a little limp dick, little fucking weirdo.
But he had to also follow G.E. Cho.
Well, yeah. Besides that, all right.
Oh,
Yeah. You're right. You would have to.
Oh, sure.
He'd have to take a fifth of him.
Thanks, Jane.
Hey, Ruark would have fucking snapped his neck. Come on.
Ryan, do
It's
you
the
remember
dark
when I
one.
got a DMI report card and our IEO clan chief father covered his face when he went to hit me with the belt? I'm like, oh, he's gonna kill me.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah. He had he was wildly. Yeah, that's why he missed. All right, so no. What great general was it who was able to suss out? I think it's Bashir was able to figure out that his mind was not right.
Oh no!
I think it was Bashir.
No, it was
Ituraldi?
Ituraldi
Yeah.
Ituraldi figured it out. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Ituraldi
And
figured it out.
Land figured it out a
Red
bit.
actually figured it out a little bit too, and so did Lord Agelmar.
No, but
Egmar-
didn't he go to
Land
land though
figured it
and say I can't take charge? Like, who went to land and said I'm not right?
Well,
It's like,
Was that?
Agilmar definitely got taken out of power by land before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Agelmar was going to kill himself, and then he came to and said, "Oh my God, whoever put these instructions in my head wanted Zenobia dead."
Okay,
Yeah.
so either way,
ended up realizing it.
Yeah.
But
The-
no, it was when Elias and the wolves grabbed Ituralda out of her, he realized to himself that something was wrong.
Yeah.
okay, I didn't. Okay, anyways, that's my unsung hero.
Agamar, he agreed with Land to step down.
Okay,
Nice.
whoever that one, yes, he's like I'm not right, and so that's my unsung hero.
Good answer.
Thank you,
That's it.
because it's like a battle of a different sort. That's a self-awareness thing, which is pretty awesome. All right. I think we're at 5:30 on the nose.
Well, there's
Everyone-
Also, I guess let's do one more. Ryan, there's also
Bella makes it rain in the club.
I want classes like that.
All right.
I like the neon too.
Yeah. Bella's hot.
All right. As always, before we go, let's plug. Jansen, you have anything to plug?
I'm plugging right now. I am still doing all of this with a heavy heart. The fires are about 0.4 miles from my house, and I have many friends and colleagues who have lost their homes. So, still praying for them, hoping and keeping them in my heart, and hoping that this nightmare will end soon.
Right. It doesn't matter how much money you have. I guess if your house burns down, you'll be able to rent a house for a while, but everything is gone everywhere. So be empathetic. Don't be like, oh, but they're by Malibu. Fuck. There's people that lived there in this area for 80 years. This is an old community. So
Just Malibu. There's plenty of communities in Altadena, especially just regular people like all of us.
Yep.
Really lost everything.
yeah.
So
My
Yeah.
niece lost her home. She is in Altadena. And if anyone wants, there is a GoFundMe. DM me if you're interested. She has 2 kids. They bought it like 3 years ago.
Man,
She's
you
just
gotta call me, man. I have a lot of resources for her.
okay. Good. So yeah, the shit's going down for so many people. So let's be empathetic. Let's not. There's no Schadenfreude here.
Yeah. Pain is apolitical. DT, do you have anything to plug before we end this bad boy?
I don't have anything in mind to plug at all anymore. No.
Okay.
Besides the Lions.
No plugging. Yeah, I'll plug the Lions. Everybody watch the Lions next week.
Don't-
Also the Bills.
yeah, thank you for joining us at such short notice.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're
my
the best,
pleasure.
man.
That was
I
awesome.
love you, bro.
I'll have you on.
Blast. It's been good chatting with all you guys.
Yeah, we'll get you on
Yeah.
again soon. Dad Sway and yourself, anything to plug? or anyone?
now, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. No, in the next few weeks or so, so right behind me there is my Sister Mary Chicken nun costume, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with her. And so my sister is a game streamer, and she's like, "You should play video games as Sister Mary Chicken. That'd be hilarious." So we are putting that in the works and seeing what comes of that. But I think that would also be hilarious. So
That's awesome.
coming soon.
Desmond, I have a monk costume that I go live as Brother Dan.
But boom.
Like
We'll
for
have to
real, for real. So if you want a game,
Yeah.
Sister Mary Chicken and Brother
Mary
Dan.
Chicken tonight.
Right on you,
Brother Dan.
And Brother Dan in the monk costume. Yeah, and I'm dressed as a friar.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Enjoy, be safe, and run for your lives. This is The Way of the Leaf.